Welcome to Phazon Labs, the internet's premier Metroid Futurist podcast, powered by the World 1-1 Podcast Network. I am, as always, your host, Larry the Bearded Wonder. Joining me this week is Michael, speed booster with his shoelaces tied together, Brown.
Like high speed competition face planting.
Yes, absolutely. And every week here we toss on our lab coats, we experiment, and we come up with new ideas for a future Metroid game in hopes that it's not another 19 years till we get to do it all over again. So this week we are taking a look at a pitch that kind of fell out of my brain, and I've got some loose thoughts on this, and this is where the workshopping part of this comes into play this week. So the idea occurred to me. We have a primarily silent protagonist, and another game series that's well known for their silent protagonist and mouthy, obnoxious antagonist is Portal. I would love to see a game where Samus ends up trapped in Aperture Labs, basically being put through the gauntlet of testing by GLaDOS. However, the interest in this comes for me in the fact that you get to combine not only the portal mechanics with, all the puzzle solving, but also figuring out how to apply Samus's other abilities and weapons into that puzzle solving as well, and watching GLaDOS have to try and figure out and react to a whole bunch of abilities and powers she's not had to cope with before on the fly. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
I would see just once after the first time you do anything out of, your original power set, GLaDOS just to go, what the hell was that?
There you go. I think there's a lot of potential in there. One, just seeing GLaDOS getting to, poke and be her weird, obnoxious self at Samus would be fun to me. And two, I think it'd be really neat to watch her try and figure out how to cope with all of that. Suddenly you've got a character that can shrink to like half their normal size and move around rather rapidly. Or, power bomb to clear a whole mess of crates and containers or turrets in the room that nobody else could do before. And she's sitting there struggling to keep up for a change, instead of always having the upper hand by default.
Right.
So, part of me, and this is just kind of an off the top of my head, but part of me is also wondering too if it's worth dabbling in the idea that somehow the Chozo have had some semblance of impact on the creation of Aperture Labs in the first place. Like it's a very deep, dark secret.
Yes.
You're a lot of help, thanks.
That's what I do.
So, but no, I would really like to see a game that pushes Samus's ability set on the puzzle side very strictly, instead of having the occasional puzzle tossed in like the Prime games. I want more of that, because the little bits of it that were there I really liked, and I've always wanted more of it, but never really gotten it. And I think this would be a great way to go about doing that. I also think too, with GLaDOS being the antagonistic character that she is, I think it would be a great opportunity to see some more of the non-verbal character attitude that Samus has in certain cases that we've only gotten tiny snippets of. We did see a little bit more of it in Dread with the, kind of the grumpy shooting to turn off the fans thing after the experiment fight, or
which I did like that little flavor.
Right, that and
she's just done at this point.
Right? It's like, God damn it. So, that, or, you know, just the whole kind of, yeah, you ain't shit attitude thing, you know, standing there in front of Kraid while he's strung up.
Yeah.
So
I really did like that a lot.
Oh, I did too. It was so well done. But the one that always sticks out in my head, though, was from Prime 1, when at the end of the Stardust fight, when one of the rocks clangs her in the back of the helmet, and she turns around, she's like, fucking really? And I think this could be a great further showcase for that. You know, again, a very silent, not purely silent antagonist or protagonist like Shell, but almost exclusively. And I think this would work well.
I think you've done right, yeah. Like, obviously, we're wanting, we'd probably end up wanting the studio that did the Prime games involved.
Well, that's Retro.
Yeah.
I think if you could get Retro together with the section of Valve that did the Portal games, would be the way to go. Like a full-blown collab.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's a dream team right there that I absolutely would support. But, you know, I think, too, one of the things that would be really interesting is watching the test chambers change and adapt on the fly. Like the first time Samus cracks out the space jump and Gladys suddenly realizes, well, shit, I have to figure out how to hide this. Yeah. That's great too. I totally could see Gladys, Samus starts space jumping up to get something that Gladys thought was out of reach, and Gladys like, that's cheating, and moves the platform.
There's one thing I definitely want for this.
Okay.
There needs to be a cameo for War from Darksiders. Because remember, I don't know if you've played far enough in that, but they get a portal gun in there.
Do they?
It's
I
one of the
have not
last.
played that far yet.
Yeah, it's one of the last ones you get, and you can only do it on very specific surfaces, like these stained glass windows.
Okay.
But there's a lot of puzzle stuff to it, and it just would amuse me to no end to have Samus walk past a portal, and then War, or even Death, because he gets one too, walk just the other way, and they kind of just glance at each other and keep going.
Just a little side thing we don't talk about, yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, I can get behind that, definitely.
Yeah.
So, what kind of music plays in your head when you're picturing this? Because I've got some thoughts, but I'm curious as to yours.
I want to go minimalist, like just I don't know. How do I explain this? Like maybe GLaDOS actually just researched into who you are, and so she pulls up music from your past, but it's the GLaDOS versions of it, or like even she adds lyrics over it that don't make any damn sense. Just what she interprets your story as being.
Part of me could see somewhere between Red and Other M's soundtrack, something in that vein working well.
Okay.
Because a lot of it is, kind of that mix of alien, organic, industrial. And I think that plays well into some of the very minimalist aspects as well. Because Portal wasn't real heavy on the music for the most part. It was just kind of a lot of background ambient sound.
What if the music was actually environmentally created?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you mentioned the concept of industrial, for instance, and like, once you start to try to escape, you're in the background inner workings of the plant, and it's like factory heavy metal sounds, clanging, things moving.
I could see that working real well, especially as an escape scene. Which that's something too that I think could play well, because Portal 2 almost dabbled, even Portal 1 to an extent kind of dabbled with the concept of an escape scene, but not quite the same way that the Metroid games have done it. And I think that could be a neat thing to toss in the mix too, is like a proper Metroid escape sequence from Aperture Labs.
Right.
Like I could see, corridors and vertical shafts all kind of crumbling and collapsing as everything's malfunctioning, and a lot of very rapid platforming to try and get out of it, and it's all basically just falling apart right behind you, almost a la the Ginsu tree from Ori. Yeah. Like that.
On
that
top
feels.
Of that, it actually gives you the option to swing out and save a part of Gladys or let her die.
Right. Grab one of the cores on the way out.
Yeah.
So, but no, and I think too that this is a chance to not only get more puzzle heavy, but more, because the series has always been a really good blend of both mobility and combat focus. Like it's that perfect balance. But here I think is a really good opportunity to lean more into the mobility and platforming side of her abilities as well, and push some of those. Like I would really like to see a couple of solidly challenging grapple sections that really kind of push the limits of that grapple ability.
Mm-hmm. What I want to see is, in order to quote-unquote make you feel more comfortable, GLaDOS has drones dressed up as standard enemies from the Metroid series. Like, and I'm talking cardboard, paper mache, or like plushy suits.
Oh God, yes. The turrets just walking, the first time the turrets finally get to walk around and they're dressed in a paper mache costume.
Yes.
And you hear them talking underneath the paper mache going, I don't understand what this is.
Why would you put me in a costume that impairs my vision?
Right?
Yes.
Oh, it would work so well for the turrets too. That's very in character for them. That makes me kind of really happy inside. I think too it'd be great if at some point, kind of in between chambers, you're going through a corridor that's full of turrets that, they're all active, but they have no ammunition loaded. And they're all just being stupid. And you walk through the corridor and you just hear them keep saying, the baby, the baby.
Oh
the
my
baby.
God, yes.
In their stupid turret voice. Oh God. At some point, one of the turrets drops into the room from the ceiling. And it's got like a paper mask of oh God damn it! What's his name from Other M? Not Adam. Why am I blanking? The big burly black dude that got knocked off. But yeah, no, the one who's got the one line that we all remember. So turret drops in with a paper mask on, and the turret just goes, "Remember me?" in its stupid turret voice.
And there needs to be a small flying drone. Or it doesn't even have to be flying drone. It's just a turret chained to the ceiling and a ceiling fan path. So it's moving, dressed up like the baby Metroid.
I was going to say, actually, it'd be kind of funny if you saw like one of the cores in one of GLaDOS's, personality cores going through a chamber where it just gets spray painted green and red to look like a Metroid.
Yes.
I don't know that it does anything, Actually, no. You know what? It does do something, and you have to find it, and you have to drag it with you to the final fight to stop Gladys. And you attach it to Gladys, a la the first game, where you're attaching like bullshit to her, and the whole thing just drains her of power.
Because it's malfunctioning.
Exactly. It's just a power suck core. That's all it does. So, but you have to drag it along with you. It would almost be this game's version of the companion cube.
And then on top of that, GLaDOS herself is wearing a very poorly made cloth mother brain costume.
Yes. Actually, the way GLaDOS hangs from the ceiling is not a terrible approximation of the Aurora unit at the end of Corruption, honestly.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's basically, the brain on a giant spine coming out of the floor, so it's really just that upside down.
Yeah, fair.
So, that could work. I think the whole thing comes about because GLaDOS was testing and accidentally learned how to open a portal to another universe. And Samus fell through. End of the game at the escape sequence too, you hit an ejector thing that just sends you rocketing into space, hurtling towards your gunship. Yeah. And as you're flying through space, you whiz past the Wheatley and the Space Core from Portal 2. So you just, have that Doppler effect as she goes flying by you. You're space.
I like it.
I do too. I want it. It needs to happen. It's got to be a thing. So, this does kind of make me want a Portal-esque ability, though, in Prime 4. Like, I know we'll probably never ever get this, but some sort of Portal mobility ability in Prime 4 would be awesome.
I think it would feel a little out of place in the Metroid games. Although, granted, I haven't played the Primes.
I mean, it might be a way to do a first-person interpretation of the flash shift from Dread.
Okay.
Because the flash shift wasn't an actual teleportation, but this could be.
Yeah.
So, I think there's potential in that.
Yeah, I could see that.
So what do we call this shit show? Because I feel like, Metroid Aperture is too obvious. It doesn't feel like it hits quite right.
Metroid, this was a mistake. Like, it's literally GLaDOS naming it and realizing how badly she screwed up.
I don't know, you could... Maybe like, Metroid Test Subject 37.
Works.
It does. So, I think that's it. I think that's our title. Test Subject 37.
Acceptable.
It'd be neat, though, if you did find little snippets of, maybe like Chozo lore buried in the back halls of Aperture. Just that, she's managed to connect to this other universe, and you get hints that's, that something else has come through before you.
How about this? When you first come in, obviously the first thing's going to happen is she's going to have to somehow get the portal gun, okay?
Mm-hmm.
She picks up the portal gun from an actual Chozo statue, dressed up to mocked up to look like in the same vein as everything else, a badly disguised Chozo statue.
Oh.
Like it's literally got like just a party hat for the beak, but it's over the actual beak.
Somewhere towards the end, you find a Chozo statue holding a cake.
Yes. That's your reward for the game. It's a hologram.
I can get behind all of this. This makes me happy inside. So, well, I think we've done it. We've successfully designed another winning Metroid game that we'll never get to play, but we can all happily dream about tonight. So I want to say thank you to everybody that tuned in and joined us this week here in the lab, and thank you to my lab partner, Michael, and we'll see you all next week here on Phazon Labs, powered by World 1-1. See you next mission. Peace!